Good evening, everyone. I'm Patricia Gutierrez, and I'm here to present my brochure on understanding the disability categories of the IDEA Individual Act. And so I have my first page here. It's Understanding the Disability Categories of IDEA Individual with Disabilities Education Act. And IDEA Act groups disabilities into 13 categories. Some categories have a wide range of challenges. And in my middle, in the bifold, I have just more of a definition of what the law is. The act is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, by law provides special education and related services available to children with disabilities in the public schools. And my last page on my last section is the 13 disability categories, and I'll name them off. We first have the autism spectrum disorder, deafness, emotional disturbance, hearing impairment, intellectual disability, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairment, other health impairment, specific learning disability, speech or language impairment, traumatic brain injury, visual impairment, including blindness. And lastly, I have gifted or talented students. That one is asterisk because it is not defined as a category by the IDEA Act. The ones that are bolded, those are the 5 that I'm going to cover on the presentation. So my first one, it's number 10 out of the IDEA Act. It is specific learning disability. And a specific learning disability is a disorder in one or more of the basic psychological processes involved in understanding or in using language, spoken or written, that may manifest itself in an imperfect ability to listen, think, speak, read, or write, or spell. And this conditions may include brain injuries, dyslexia, dysgraphia, or dyscalculia. For instance, dyslexia is the inability to read and to understand of the grammatical pronunciation of words. Dysgraphia is the inability to write, to understanding the concepts of writing. And dyscalculia is the ability to have the disability to understand number concepts. And my middle one is the emotional disturbance, number 4. It means if a student is experiencing one or more of the following conditions over a long period of time, it will adversely affect the student's educational performance. This is, for instance, if a student is suffering from a mental health disorder, it could be depression, it could be anxiety, that is also an emotional, it falls under the emotional disturbance category. I have more information in that inability to learn and cannot be explained by intellectual, sensory, or health factors. Those are factors that come across students that they could fall under that category in order to receive services. And or a student that is inappropriate types of behavior or feelings, developing physical symptoms or fears with personal or school issues. All this could be affect that goes into school, the effect of not academically being successful. And I have, as far as specific learning disability as well, those could come into play if they're academically not being able to have a positive aspects on their academics, especially in English and math are the 2 very important that students may be affected negatively if they had a condition that falls under the Pacific Learning Disability or emotional disturbance. My last one that I have on this page is autism spectrum disorder, is a developmental disability significantly affecting verbal and nonverbal communication and social interactions. Other aspects of autism may affect a student's education, such as engaging in a repetitive activities and stereotype movements, resistance to environmental change or change in daily routines, and unusual responses to sensory experiences. Those all could be an effect of their academic progress, and that could definitely hinder their education. My next three I'll start off to the right. It's speech and language impairment, number 11 of the 13 categories. It is a communication disorder such as stuttering, impaired language, or impaired articulation, or language impairment, or voice impairment. Students' education may be affected by not having strong communication skills with peers and teachers, and experiences lack of esteem. And go back to the far left of the screen. It's gifted and talented students. This is not defined again. It's not defined under the 13 categories of the IDEA Act of Disabilities, but it is definitely come into play of students maybe receiving services that are exceptional students. And gifted and talented students under the IDEA Act, gifted and talented students are not considered in the 13 disability categories. But what is giftedness? It's where students with gifts and talents perform or have the capability to perform at higher levels compared to others of the same age, experience, and environment in one or more domains. These domains could be English, history, mathematics, any subject that we cover in most schools, and those domains are as listed. And struggles students may experience. There's myths of gifted and talented students that they come across. Gifted and talented students may have a disability that is categorized. The exceptional students may struggle in school due to factors including mental health aspects and lack of social interactions. The mental health aspects may include anxiety, OCD, and or depression. There's a lot of myths of gifted and talented students that have been made throughout the years of they'll be fine, they're so smart and so exceptional that they will do just fine in school. And that is a myth, because those students may be struggling or may have a disability that is categorized in one of the 13 and is just unseen, and they are not being helped as they should be. And those are the 5 categories that I have chose from the 13, and here are my resources. Thank you very much, and you have a good evening.